Uh, Today, I'll be talking about addressing the Sustainable Development Goals by redesigning effective social entrepreneurship programs in universities. In other words, if you think about the theme of this conference, uh, it is the role of Sustainable Development Goals in business and economic transformation. I think that last phrase is very, very important, business and economic transformation. So what would be the role of business schools, such as Jaipur Institute of Management and other business schools around the country? What is their role in transforming society, okay, so that we can achieve these goals that have been set out by the United Nations, okay? As you might recall, those of you who have seen all the goals, I think there are 17 of them. The first one is obviously perhaps the most important goal for any society, and that is poverty alleviation. I'm also very intrigued by goal number 8, which refers to decent work and economic growth, okay? So it would be awesome if we can come up with a formula or a paradigm, if you will, to use the director's words, where we can talk about economic growth and poverty alleviation at the same time. And that is where social entrepreneurship comes into the picture. And social entrepreneurship has been a very, I guess, a popular topic in many business schools. So it's not anything new, if you will. So what is a social enterprise and why is it different from a regular enterprise? Both the regular enterprise as well as the social enterprise, both have to be economically viable. That's what makes it an enterprise. But a social enterprise has a very critical role in solving social and societal problems. So it is not something which is going to solve the problem of a small group of customers or consumers. No, it's about society as a whole. So the canvas is pretty broad and large for a social enterprise. And profit is not the motive most of the time, but of course you need to be economically viable. So you need to be making profits so that you can sustain and grow further. Now, when we look at different social entrepreneurs across the globe, where do they gain knowledge? Where do they pick up their skills? If they want to be a successful social entrepreneur, where can they go and learn? Unfortunately, the universities have not played a positive and constructive role in developing social entrepreneurs. Most of the business schools that have entrepreneurship programs in different countries, their focus is on, creating a unicorn, which is obviously nice and with a heavy profit motive. So I have nothing against that, but I'm just saying that that has been the focus of many entrepreneurship programs. But what about social entrepreneurs? They have not been welcomed adequately into universities across the globe, okay? And universities which have social entrepreneurship programs, they have struggled to find the correct academic model, okay? How can we create and educate social entrepreneurs? Should we invite them into the regular classroom and teach them like any other student and then test them and then give them a degree or diploma like any other student? Is that, because that's what universities do. We recruit students, we teach them, educate them, we test them, and at the end of a series of such processes, we give them a degree, our stamp of approval. Is that the formula for success when it comes to social entrepreneurs? In the post-pandemic environment, we have seen that hands-on and experience-based learning are missing. In other words, they have not come back to the same levels that they existed pre-pandemic. And if you want to be successful in teaching social entrepreneurship courses, there is really no substitute than to have a hands-on and experience-based learning environment in a classroom and beyond the classroom. Also, what we have seen since the pandemic in the last 2-3 years is that student engagement in the classroom has declined across the globe. This is not about USA or India or any specific country. This is from across the globe we are talking about. So given the fact that social entrepreneurship is essential to address at least 2 SDGs, number 1 and number 8, okay, and what would be the role of business schools in developing such social entrepreneurs? So the first key issue that we have to address as a business school is how do we expand access to these social entrepreneurship programs in universities? So let us say that our business school has a social entrepreneurship program, then how do we expand access so that the social entrepreneurs can come and attend this program? Somehow, if we get them into the classroom, then what would be a good learning model? Okay, what would be the appropriate learning model so that we can maximize the impact of such education in creating social entrepreneurs? And finally, after we figure out the learning model, then the most important thing is content. What should we emphasize in educating these current and future social entrepreneurs? So these are 3 key issues that every business school who is truly interested in broadening the scope of its social entrepreneurship program has to address. Conclusion, my friends, I think the conference is very, very important because you are going to be looking at how to address these sustainable development goals. And for me, from my vantage point, I think number 1 and number 8 are very, very critical, especially because business schools such as yours, such as mine, can play a key role in addressing these 2 goals of alleviating poverty as well as business building economic ties in the community. So how do we do that? How do we address these 2 goals? Is by redesigning social entrepreneurship programs in universities, by bringing those social entrepreneurs who don't have a formal education. They may not have studied beyond 6th grade or 10th grade or even 12th grade, but that's fine. They should not be excluded from a university system because they have experience. So bring them into a regular classroom, motivate them, pair them with a regular MBA student. That's going to benefit the social entrepreneur and it will benefit the MBA student tremendously. So the programs have to be redesigned by expanding access, by tweaking our learning models in a way that we still assess these social entrepreneurs. We don't treat them with kid gloves. They are not like a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law. Just say you will treat your damad in the class. No, you treat them as a student with all the things, but assess them differently, which will appeal to their knowledge. And finally, when we are teaching social entrepreneurship, these are 2 topics that have not been emphasized much across the globe. We have to bring in effectual logic and value co-creation. So that, my friends, are some of my thoughts on social entrepreneurship programs and how we could address the SDGs. And I'll stop sharing. I'll be happy to address any questions if you have or any comments that you might have. Thanks for your patience in listening to me.